Sound on. These is up. Alright guys, I think we are up on our platforms. Can you check Facebook?
Facebook is live. I'm having trouble playing the video. Facebook.
Yeah, I think we're good on everything. Alright.
Alright, welcome everybody to the 0 through 4 Motorsport live chat. Sorry we missed last week.
It's the Leap Week edition.
I was out of the country, but yeah, we did one the week before. So, alright. So we're here to answer all your hot and burning questions about all things 0 through 4 Motorsport. Feel free to ask us anything. However, update questions will get deprioritized in lieu of more questions that are more in line with, you know, what we want to discuss.
Well, and we're more capable of answering. Like, updates are always, you know, we're getting stuff done as quick as we can.
We don't always have good update responses, so. And you'll notice no other company talks about
yeah, it's not a thing.
talks about this stuff, so we're the only ones. What else? Take a direct approach to responding. I like to cut the BS out and just put your question into the browser of your choice, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, and we will copy your questions into our system. Where, promise, we're not on Tinder. We're just here reading and editing the questions and things like that.
Yeah, and it is live. It's not pre-recorded.
Right.
If we don't get to your question, it doesn't mean it's not live. We have a lot of questions coming in from all kinds of different sources, so we're getting to as many as we can.
A lot of people on YouTube want to know like what you're doing on the laptop.
Nothing.
They don't know.
Nothing.
It's very confusing to them. So, I mean, I'm sure, hasn't there, like Howard Stern? There's like people on the computer typing things, and
I'm one of the Howard Stern.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, you're like Baba Booey.
Yeah. No, this is turning things on and off here and moving comments around.
Yeah, and you're producing the technicality, the levels, all the stuff.
All the knobs.
Nate's beard is back.
It is back.
Did you shave? You shaved.
I shaved. Yeah. I guess it would have been before the last one we did.
I think you were shaved for the last.
Haven't shaved since, so that happens.
It's weird. You don't look any different to me with a beard. I don't even notice whether you have one or. It's weird. All right. So someone says, whenever I hear tuning, I think witchcraft. I generally don't have any idea of what's going on. Can you explain at an entry level but technical viewpoint what you do when you do tuning? Yeah. It's understandable why you would think that. Tuning is a very technical, much to the opposite of witchcraft. Well, I don't know. Witchcraft isn't really real, but if it was, it would probably be very technical too.
It's one of those, like, for the common individual, it's a non-understandable thing. So it just falls into the witchcraft category where they understand the ins and outs and how it's doing things.
I think a better word might be magic, which doesn't exist, but it's kind of a perception. But that notion is propagated by a lot of companies in the tuning industry as well as every industry, where it's beneficial for companies to keep customers in the dark, technically speaking, so that they can kind of sell customers products where customers could never question it, because customers don't have enough ability to decipher whether what they're getting is good or bad. And that's not how we operate. So I wanted to make that point, is we're very transparent about what we do in our tuning. If you go on our Uncut channel, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of clip outs of us talking in depth, in layman's terms, but also very technically, of what we do when we tune, or what we do when we develop or create any product that we sell. But I think I'm well suited to give this
Like you've seen
answer.
You've seen a thing or two.
In layman's terms, because I'm not. Nate's much more technical than I am as far as actually doing tuning. However,
well, these days, I mean, you were
starting out. That wasn't the case, right? I used to do all the tuning.
All the standalone was developed around the things you were
but I still have a lot of knowledge from that, but I'm also good at just kind of putting words into plain in a plain way. So when it comes to tuning an ECU specifically, every engine has a control unit, electronic control unit, or an ECU that manages the operation of the engine. How an engine generates combustion and continues to run and continues to operate under a myriad of different conditions and factors and variables is through this complex electronic network of programming and electrical functionality that the ECU manages for the engine. So an engine itself can't run itself, although it has everything that's attached to an engine allows an engine to run and to operate. The ECU is what coordinates all these actions. And so in order to create, at a basic level, combustion, a cylinder has to be at a certain position in its stroke. There has to be fuel that's injected, a very precise amount of fuel, and the spark plug has to fire or ionize at an exact moment down to, in the millisecond range for combustion to create enough pressure to push the piston back down and create torque and power. All this is managed in the ECU. So there are thousands of maps inside the ECU that dictate how much fuel is injected, when the fuel is injected, when the spark fires, how long the coil charges for before the current in the coil discharges through the spark plug. Adjustments for temperature, for barometer or barometric pressure, for water temp, for air temp, oxygen or air fuel ratio of the exhaust gases is measured. There's dozens and dozens of different sensors that go into this, the NOx sensing system. All that data goes into the ECU. The ECU processes it 1,000 times a second or even 1,000 times a millisecond and runs the engine. So when we get a car from Audi as a tuning company, it's pretty perfect right out of the box for what the factory wanted it to do, which in the case of a B9 S4, let's say, is to make 350 horsepower and to be optimized with the size of injectors and the type of plugs that they spec'd and the size of the turbocharger, the exhaust system, all these different factors. And so when a customer brings their B9 S4 to us, they're asking us to make it more powerful, to make it more fun to drive, to give them a more sporting driving experience, to be able to beat their buddy's Ford Mustang or whatever. And so we go into those maps and we begin to augment and reprogram the mapping in the ECU so that the ECU asks the turbocharger for more boost by modifying the control system of the wastegate system that controls boost pressure. And then we go in and we give it more fuel that's needed for the higher boost levels. And then we adjust the timing maps, and we go and we adjust thousands and thousands of variables and maps inside the ECU. In some case, we're re-engineering the base programming in the ECU to create functionality that the car never even came with. And so it's extremely complicated and technical, but once you understand how to do it, like for our calibrators, it's a pretty I wouldn't say easy, but they're very capable at taking these cars and doing the types of things that we as a company want to do with these cars to change the performance that you feel and experience when you drive the car. So that's a kind of a real basic level, but it's literally changing the way the engine is controlled to create a different outcome. You want to add anything to that?
I mean, that's from a high level. That's basically it. I mean, we've got thousands of different knobs that you can go back to the most simple engine that's got a distributor, a carburetor, and a couple of points to make spark, and you can change the timing by twisting the distributor. That's kind of your knob, and you've got some jets and screws and whatnot on the carb. Take that, multiply by tens of thousands of screws and knobs, and then you've got all these other components of the motor that can move around now. So it's just a more advanced system. So you need a computer to control it. The computer controls everything. So it's just reprioritizing different, effects and outputs that we want that the OEM necessarily doesn't necessarily want, or the OEMs all have a different goal. So they're shooting for an advertised horsepower number, a certain feel that fits in their lineup of cars, and that's
and all the environmental.
And then they need it for the 99th percentile so they can sell the most cars. And we're catering to the the top couple percentile of enthusiasts where they want something a little more responsive, a little more powerful, a little more performance oriented than a normal sedan.
This is a follow-up question. How complex are Bosch ECUs used in B8s and C7s compared to something like an AEM Infinity in regards to things like map resolution?
That's a hard one to answer. The Infinity and some of the new ECUs, they have a lot of computational power, and it's going to depend on, it's not necessarily the map resolution, it's all of the modeling and how the math is used and where it goes. You can have a 64-bit floating point math channel with all this ridiculous resolution. But if you have some fundamental, basic formulas and models and math behind it that it affects, it's not going to do much for you. So it's the number of considerations that are in the OEM ECUs to encapsulate, all of the environmental conditions, all of the modeling that goes into the control systems, the models, just to bolster up what those maps are doing. It has a lot of simulation and mathematical models behind it. So that it's trying to be one step ahead versus reactive.
Yeah. So to kind of give an example, Bosch is a company that researches internal combustion engine technology and functionality, and that research goes into these models that are built into the ECU. That's not something AEM can do nearly at the AEMs have been there. The founder. It's a great company. But it's a relatively tiny, small little aftermarket tuning company compared to Bosch, which is an OEM to almost all the German automotive manufacturers. So they're
and Ford and they're worldwide.
They're selling millions and millions of ECUs a year, and the kind of revenue that gets generated is in the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So they could easily justify spending $20 million a year. Carefully researching, internal combustion. I mean, they're the company that pushed, the kind of clean diesel forward. The FSI, fuel stratified direct injection, was engineered by Bosch. So they have actual patents on a lot of this stuff. With that, armed with that knowledge, they put that knowledge and power into the programming of the ECU, so that the ECU can predict what the engine is doing, even far beyond what the data that's coming in suggests. So if you can build a model with enough data that you've generated from studies and statistical analysis, then you can predict what the engine is going to do even before it does it with just a few variables, and you can solve for that equation, millions of times a minute. And so while the AEM, anyone can stick a real fast like to Nate's point, you can stick a real expensive fast processor in an ECU, and you can build maps, but when it comes to something like an AEM or even a Motec or an aftermarket ECU, it's not going to have that kind of data and research and R&D behind it. So my opinion, we started out as a standalone company, and in those days, the standalones did compete, especially with like the limited functionality of like the early Bosch Motronic ECUs and stuff, kind of the EFI from the 90s, which was just really early EFI. But nowadays, I think it's really hard to beat a factory ECU. And
if you're within like the normal ecosystem of like the staged tunes, and you're not doing some crazy exotic thing or some custom race car thing, the OEM ECUs are going to be really hard to beat.
The biggest reason why you see aftermarket companies using standalone ECUs like that is because they can't do what we do. They can't.
Right. They're bound by something that they can't figure out in the stock ECU.
And I mean, you see this with like underground racing and some of these. They're doing like 2,000 horsepower Lamborghinis and R8s, but they rip out the factory ECU because they don't know how to. they don't know how to program.
Yeah, there's some limitation that
Yeah.
they can't get around in it.
And those cars inevitably just will never run as well as a car on a factory ECU, especially things like throttle response and shifting and idling and light load cruising conditions, where you want real smooth performance. It's hard to do. Standalones do wide open throttle really well, and frankly, anyone can tune for wide open.
Yeah, they can usually drive pretty well, but it's all of the edge cases, it's all of the other conditions where you end up, you can almost always tell you've got a standalone setup or some other completely non-OEM ECU in there.
Well, I remember even when we were doing 034 EFI, every time I get into like a factory car with like Motronic 3, it would always just start right up and idle so nicely.
It's got all.
We could never get our standalone to do that. I mean, tried.
Yeah.
It was a lot harder to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Spent 15 minutes on that topic, so that's enough. Can you run a Y splitter if you're OBD2 to run the tuning dongle and power for rating?
I mean, if you're just grabbing power and it's a quality thing, probably. We don't like it though.
You can try and see,
but I mean, you're just adding more failure points in your connection. If you've got this big dongle splitter thing hanging out of the bottom of your dash, just maybe spend some time and wire it in properly.
Yeah. Do you offer a spacer flush kit for the B9 RS5? If not, what spacers would you recommend for 20-inch OEM wheels? We don't currently, but it's on a list. We're building some more kits out. What should fit well is a 12.5 mil in the front and a 15 mil in the rear and 65 millimeter studs and ball seat nuts. That's what would work on a B9 RS5. So 12.5, 15, and 65 millimeter studs with ball seat. B9 oil cap. Yes, it's done. We're simply waiting for the product to show up.
We talked about that the last.
Yeah, we did. It's just not here in stock yet. So as soon as it's here, we'll release it. B8 being a brushed low pressure fuel pump. If I upgraded to a brushless dual low pressure fuel pump, would you guys be able to do a PWM tuning adjustment for me or others wanting to do the same and go that route?
That's something we can do. Yes.
We can. We just it's hard for us to try to do it on a one-off.
Yeah, it's going to depend on your kit too. If it's, I mean, you can get OEM or not OEM. You can get aftermarket brushless controllers that will go in place of. They'll take the signal that's going to your current brushed pump and do PWM control based off that. So, depending on what solution you're going with, there's a couple of different paths you can go. But I know DeechWorks has a controller that'll take us to a brushed pump signal and work that. But yeah, we can also manipulate the PWM on that. It's 20 hertz, I think, on the brushed one, and 100 hertz on the brushless. So certainly something we've done before.
God, we've talked about this so much. Someone's saying, I'll just answer it real quick, and I'm sure there's lots of other links you could go watch. Why don't you have a regular customer service phone number anymore? The email response isn't bad, but still would prefer to talk to a person.
Yeah, no.
Yes, we would prefer to talk to you as well. The problem is, as we've grown, we receive hundreds of emails a day for customer service. And I think we track this, and most weeks we're servicing 700 to 1,000 individual unique people per week. So what is that? What is it? Let's just say we're open for 40 hours a week.
Oh, as far as breaking down,
yeah.
Like
I mean,
how many minutes we could serve it? Like,
what's 1,000 divided by 40 or 50?
Each phone call with a customer is 15 to 30 minutes.
Yeah. So if you start doing the numbers,
we're talking 40 hours.
So say 1,000.
Let me do that. I'll get you the
1,000 divided by 40.
Well, that's
then figure out the minutes.
So yeah, if that's all we did,
we would have about 2.5 minutes per call to service all the customers we have, and that's just unique customers, right? So that
assuming you can literally digitally switch between each one.
So that could be easily 1,500 phone calls. So it would be less than 2 minutes per phone call. There's no way that we can do anything. In some cases, the salutations, which are very nice, thank you. People are very polite, but salutations could take 2 or 3 minutes. and then you get off topic with anything, and you're already in negative territory.
I want to say, like Sean's point, I think it's like 20 minutes is about an average.
I think 10 to 20 minutes is something that you could budget for, but we literally can't have 1 minute phone calls and solve anything. What we can do is have emails that take 30 seconds to a minute to write and respond, and then we also get things in writing, which is more clear. We can go back and reference it.
There's a record of the support.
So it's just we would literally need a call center of like 20 people, 30 people to be able to do that. Now you hear a lot of companies still having phone calls, and you're talking to someone in the Philippines or whatever, and nobody's going to like that either. So you're talking about we would have to staff 20 or 30 smart, intelligent, experienced automotive Volkswagen, Audi experts, to take these calls, and there's just absolutely no way. So, email is the best way that we can give the best level of service. I understand there's companies, and our competitors take phone calls. They're much smaller than us. They do less business. There's just no way that they can, handle the volume and scale of what we do at 034. 034 Motorsport is currently one of the biggest Volkswagen Audi tuning companies in the world. We have grown to be one of the biggest companies. So we're doing our best to keep up with the growth and demand. We are able to give great service through email. It's the response times aren't as fast as we would like, and so we're continually working on it, improving that and making those faster. But if you think that you would get better, faster service through the phone, that's absolutely there's just no way.
We keep, we've asked this before, but it's like what would make your response or support through the phone faster or better? Like almost everything we deal with is a very technical nature. Even if it's an order status, you've got to get an order number, order date, order, and contact information and all that kind of thing. Anyway, so you're either transposing that over the phone, or we're dealing with a lot of like, hand to mouth, data transfer, which is just the slowest, most inaccurate way to do any of that.
And it's fraught with mistakes and things like that. So these aren't the kind of conversations we want to be having. But the last thing that would help this is for us to try to do all this by phone. It would be the road to hell. It's paved with good intentions. So we are trying to improve the speed of response. I think what people want when they mention this is they want to instantly have a need. They want to pick up the phone and speak to someone a minute later and have the whole situation resolved. But that's just not how the real world would work in this case. So we're doing our best through email to respond as quickly as we can. And then it's just be voicemails and things like that, and you're going back and trying to call people back on voicemail. We've done it for 20 years. I know what it's like. So this has been a huge improvement over.
And we run a lot of stats and analysis on our support and our turnarounds, our tickets resolved, times, frames. We're always trying and working to improve that. We've got individuals that's their sole job is working on improving that experience and that turnaround and getting the answers as quickly and accurately as we can.
Okay, let's just not deal with trolls and let's just delete him and ban him from the channel so he can't watch
nothing to contribute.
I mean, if you're just going to be a troll, then we don't want to deal with you. Fuck you, dude. Moving on.
Yo.
Just bought charge pipes for my 034 Stage 2 S4. Is it going to do anything? Is this a B5?
B9.
Oh. I don't know. I don't know what they bought. I don't know. The factory charge pipes are working okay, but they're plastic, so they're pretty flimsy. I doubt there's a big performance improvements, unless they're a lot bigger.
Even then,
we are coming out with some some solid metal charge pipe solutions, but we'll do our best to measure the performance improvement. Would you consider doing a sealed ball joint style rod end for your adjustable upper control arms like you did for your Dynamic Plus end links? I want your upper B9 adjustable arms, but do not want spherical bearings, NVH and I drive in winter weather. So a sealed bolt joint style rod end is a spherical.
Yep.
I mean, it's literally that. It's just sealed with grease inside a rubber boot. Our upper arms don't have a lot of NVH because we still use a density rubber bushing on the inside. So you're not going to get a lot of NVH. Winter,
And they are Teflon lined, so it's not a direct. There are some very
Teflon,
economical rod ends that are just metal to metal with some gap there, so you always have a bit of noise. These are very tolerant.
NVH isn't a big problem. The winter weather and the salt dynamic is hard on everything. In general, we use top quality rod ends, and they will last as long as they can. We do supply them with rubber boots to protect them. So we sell a lot of these to people all over the world, including all over in the Rust Belt.
Yeah.
We do offer rebuild kits for them if you ever need to. But at this point, there's no reason for us to do, a sealed rod end. I mean, it's already what we're offering. Actually, what we offer is better than that because it's Teflon lined and much higher load than anything you could get in that format. So, and again, keep in mind with the rubber inner bushings, NVH is basically like stock. There's really no difference. Keep in mind the factory, and inside it looks like this. Just like this.
Yeah, there's really not a lot of difference.
You can go online and see cutouts. It's a metal ball encapsulated in a housing. So, will 034 ever offer products with monoballs rather than density line bushings or motorsport bearings?
I mean, a monoball is not a thing. That's a terminology or
but I know what they're talking about. So we will be offering our upper control arms with a monoball inner bushing in lieu of the density bushing, so those are coming. That style works much better for cars on air ride, that can go up and down a lot, and just overall a more precise, less compliance suspension link, and it's like what BMW uses in their lower control arms. So we're basically doing a version of that.
But it's essentially a spherical.
It is.
That's what I was getting at. Is like they're trying to put a contrast between a monoball and our motorsport stuff.
Yeah. Oh, Mark Ash is saying hello. So I went to Awesome GTI in the UK. Had a really great visit with them. They've created this incredible facility. You would love their dyno cell. It was super over the top. Yeah. Really awesome facility. I mean, no brainer if you're in the UK to take your car to them and have them work on it. Just really good people. Everyone's very passionate, enthusiasts, but also smart and capable professionals. So it was really cool to see the facility, everything they've done there. They have a really nice BMW side of the business that's also with like some really knowledgeable people over there. So yeah, and it's cool. While I was there, that Carwow video of so one of their customers and our friends, Wayne Ainsworth,
he's on Facebook right now.
Yeah. So he built a full 034 B9 S4, and he got invited to one of these Carwow shoots and raced against a Huracan, and beat it. So, and from what I understand, the host and the Carwow people were very impressed with the car. So, also Mark Ash took a video of the host peeing. Yeah, which was pretty hilarious.
Good side channel content, I guess.
Yeah. But very British. But yeah, no, it was a great overall visit. Wayne made me American style barbecue.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It was nice. Do your Mark IV 180 engine mounts cause more interior noise? So the street density won't. They're I would say comparable to the NVH of stock. You might get a little bit at idle in some certain conditions, but overall very, very good NVH. The track density will rattle your interior. Yes, especially with the 4-cylinder.
Well, especially in Mark IV era, those interiors are
those
very
they've been around
rattly.
the block. Those have been around the block. Yeah. But yeah, no, I highly recommend our street density mounts. We've been selling them since the late 2010s,
Basically, since
2007 or
still
something.
around, basically.
Sold millions of them. So. Not millions. I'd say tens of thousands. Yeah. Yes. What coil packs do you recommend for the A6 C7 3.0T? We don't currently offer a coil for that, but so we'd recommend OEM.
Yeah, we haven't seen any
but I think we've been talking about doing something for those. Do you recommend your upper density strut mounts for cars equipped with airlift? Yeah, absolutely. There's no reason not to. It's just a stiffer, more high load strut mounts than what the factory offers. Will you be making a tune for the new Garrett Powermax Mk8 Golf R? Yes, we are working on that. B8.5 034 test pipe file. Is it bad on the exhaust ports to activate the crackles on an advanced launch?
I'm assuming they're referring to the ignition cut launch, like the RPM hold. It is. I mean, you're going to be making some more EGTs for sure. Your exhaust gas temperatures do go up with that. We are monitoring them, and we do shut down the ignition reduction and all that once the temps do get up too high. But yeah, it's not meant to be. You could go there and just sit on it for 10 minutes. That's not really the idea. It's a.
But is there some safety? There should be some.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. No, I don't know of a single issue we've ever had with them, but just fundamentally, it does increase the exhaust gas temperatures.
And MQB Chassis, thoughts on adding a rear chassis brace? Is it effective? When would the upgrade be felt? I already have most of your suspension cowling installed. Our friends at Racing Line have a nice one. I can't tell you specifically from an engineering standpoint exactly how much difference it makes. It stands to reason that adding that additional triangulation in the rear of the car, it certainly adds some stiffness in that plane. But how much the car is actually flexing stock, I don't know. In general, we haven't worked on offering that, because I would say even if a rear chassis brace was shown to be very effective, it's still way down on the list as far as the impact it makes to the driving experience. And with a newer car, I once heard something from someone at Audi that every generation of new car, so from like B5 to B6 to B7 to B8, they're increasing chassis stiffness somewhere between like 25 and 50% more than the last generation. So just imagine how much stiffer a B9 is than a B5. And I remember when B5s came out, oh my God, they were like bank vaults compared to the B3s,
the 200s, or whatever,
or like a 4000 Quattro, which you jack up one side of the car and you can just see the car.
None of the doors open anymore.
Yeah, nothing. And I remember the first time I jacked up a B5, it was like, oh, doors still
open. Both wheels would come off the ground on one side. Yeah, that was a thing. That didn't used to be a thing.
Yeah, and the B5 had like pre-tensioned. They would tension the frame rails and lock them in place, so the whole body was. And I think they've continued to do that. So, for something like a Mark 7, Mark 8 Evo generation car, I don't know how much difference it's gonna make, but it definitely can't hurt anything.
It is a. Yeah, you're certainly tying in some suspension members there. So
I think if you're looking for more mods to do to your car and it looks cool, it shows that your car is modified. It does add stiffness. There is a chance that the rear strut towers kind of are bouncing around, under load. Yeah, and so remember, the rear brace really stiffens that up.
Yeah, those strut towers are there just for the shock. The springs, everything else underneath, your control arm points are underneath.
That's true, yeah.
They're all on the subframe, so that's just the shock actuation on that.
Yeah. I heard you guys are working on, this is an update question, but I think it's worth it. I heard that you guys are working on upgraded injectors for the B8S4. Any information on these and when would they be available? Yep. We're currently testing them.
Yep, I drove here on them today.
Yeah, they're substantially bigger than stock, and they address any possible fueling concern that you could have on the B8. So
yeah, we are still working on them and getting the calibration tested. And
once we validate them from an engineering calibration standpoint, we'll release more information. But they're definitely coming. It's so far it's been very optimistic. Do you guys offer rebuild kits for your products? We do. We're going through our whole catalog and trying to get better at this. But for example, this is a rebuild kit that we offer. It's this with comes with some hardware.
It comes
with new bolts and then new fasteners, for this piece, which clamps, the strut mount inside the. So there's new screws for this. It's like I don't know if and when this would ever wear out. This is a very tough bushing that's totally encapsulated inside the mount. But I think we've had a few requests for it over the years, so we did a kit. We do, for all of our upper control arm kits, we offer a myriad of different rebuild kits. So you get new heims, the pin, new hardware. So if you have a product, you can go enter the part number into the search bar, and the rebuild kit should come up. We also should be linking from every product to its rebuild kit as well. Like it's a suggested product. So our goal is to support you guys with rebuilds. Some of these products are $400 or $500, and they do have consumable parts in them. So you can rebuild one of our upper control arm kits in some cases for under $100 and keep it going for another 10 years. So I don't think other companies do nearly as good of a job as we do, and there's a lot more that we want to do with rebuild kits. So they're a lot of work to put together, and they take up inventory, but I think it's something that's a nice thing to offer. I know that's what I would want as a customer. Would dailing a stage 3 B9 S4 be manageable, or should I stick to stage 2? Oh, absolutely.
I want to say most of them.
Most, if not all, B9 stage 3s are daily driven. Our marketing manager Nick has 60,000 miles on his.
Near that now.
Yeah.
On stage 3.
On stage 3. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, all of our customers are daily driving these cars, so they are reliable. Anybody can drive a B9 S4 stage 3, like literally anybody. You can give it to your grandma and she could putt around town with it. It's not a hard to drive car or anything like that. You really only know it's stage 3 until
grandma gets on it.
You mash it and stay on it for a few seconds, then you'll know. AL552 Stage 2 TCU. Do you improve shift quality? Does it make first and second gear shift smoother than stock? Also, what prevents you from releasing something similar to XHP TCU tunes with customization?
What XHP
is that, like HP tuner?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's popular in BMWs with ZF8s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do TCU tunes mainly. And it's pretty customizable.
Yeah, no idea. I'm not familiar with that, so I can't really speak to it. So
yeah, it's a lot of work to do something like that. It's definitely doable, but for now we only offer tunes, which are also a lot of work.
Yeah,
and there's a never-ending stream of them. Do you want to speak to
as far as the shift? I mean, the shift quality overall, the feedback is overwhelmingly that it's improved from stock. It's a crisper, more engaging shift. Defining it as smoother or less smooth, that's going to be a very subjective thing. I feel like they drive like they should have with the stage 2 files on them. So, I don't think there's certainly any negatives to it.
Our goal is to always offer excellent drivability and smoothness. If for some reason you feel like you don't have that, then please let us know.
Yeah, I think they're on the fence of whether they should do it or not. But I mean, it's been most people feel it's as transformative, I think, as like the stage 1 or 2 ECU flash in the driving experience and how your car feels afterwards. So it is that improved from stock.
Someone asked, do you ship to Europe? Yes, absolutely. Every day we ship lots of stuff to Europe. You can also buy from Awesome in Europe. that are in UK, and they ship to Europe as well. But
Yep.
we have really nice FedEx and DHL options that will get. I mean, I hear all the time from customers. They say they buy something, and 3-4 days later, it's at their door.
Yeah, it gets there.
You will be subject to the customs of your country. We don't control that. But yes, no problem there. Gerard, I'm probably the only Q7 here. I'm interested in what upgrades you've done on your Q7 personally, and how is it feeling? My machine shop is still sleeving cylinders for the 034 bottom end kit. This is cool. This is a 4M.5 B9.
Oh, okay, cool.
That he's going whole hog with.
Wait, but no, it's Ascension Q7.
What did I say?
Well, no, the question was, I'm probably the only Q7.
Oh,
so
Ascension. Yeah, so I love my Q7. I have all of our products for it. So our springs, our sway bars. I would say the sway bars made the biggest difference. Completely transformed the car. I have our 21-inch by 10 forged ZTF wheels with 315/40 tires.
Ridiculous.
I have our upcoming Q7 C-Rec tune on it.
And we did release the 9.5.
Yes.
The 3-liter turbo tune.
Yep.
That's available now as well.
We do have that. I've got all the applicable inserts that fit. I've got studs. And I've got our Dynamic Plus brake rotors on the car, which look really nice. I think if it's the same person I'm thinking of, he has our brake rotors.
Yes.
Yeah, from Tennessee. So I recommend doing all that stuff, dude. Definitely do the springs and sway bars and the wheels. The wheels are very light. And what I love about the tires, there's it's like a Michelin PS4 SUV spec.
Yeah.
And there is a bead protector on there that's like an inch of rubber.
Whole parking lot.
And so like when I park, I just basically just crash into the curb and park.
No concerns.
It's amazing. It's a life changer, especially when you're running like $500, $600 wheels. So yeah, these mods do transform the Q7. They put the sport in SUV. That's kind of we have an ad in Quattro magazine right now. It says grocery jetter. But yeah, no, I strongly recommend it. It just makes the car drive, like a sports sedan. It's a 7,000-pound sports sedan, but it is really nice to drive. Looking for new wheels for my Mk7 GTI. Any suggestions? Yes, we have our flow formed and our forged wheels available in 18-inch, 18 by 8 on sale currently, 10% off for the next however long through the 15th of April. So yeah, check out the ZTF wheels. You're not going to find a better wheel on the market, especially not for the price. TEAMRamey-Sr. Just installed 034 Dynamic Plus springs on my B9 RS5 and loving it. Great to hear. Yeah, those are really nice. We spent a lot of time getting those right. For a while, we were offering our S4 springs for the RS5, and they work. But we did the R&D time on the RS5, and it came out really nice. Really want B9 S5 Advanced Launch Control TT810 and the ability to review playback my logs on the app.
We're working on both of those things. I don't know about the review on the app. We've got a couple of different options we're working on currently, where it's either going to be a web portal or something of that nature. Yeah. The device isn't the best place to review logs.
No. The rolling anti-lag ever going to be a feature for B9 S4?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah, we're testing something right now. But we will let you know if we decide to release something. Any way to offer the crackle tune for an S3 2016?
Those have stage 1 and 2 both have crackles.
They should have it, right? Yeah. Yeah, the Mark 7 GTI definitely does.
Yep. So yeah, if you have the tune and it doesn't, let us know. We love nothing more than dealing with crackles all day.
Are you doing Summerfest this year? Yes, we do it every year. Summerfest and Winterfest, I would say, are our highlight here at 034 Motorsport. Yeah, we do them every year. Bought the sway bar kit for my V8 S5 and loving it. Always great to hear. Thank you. Yeah, sway bars they're one of those mods that just transform the car. They don't really have any downsides. Is there any possibility of the ZTF R1s being released in colors other than anthracite, like hypersilver, etc.? Yes, we're working on that. Something that we hope to bring out maybe the next year or so. Someone says they went to get a tune for a B9.5 S4, I'm assuming?
Yep, 2024.
And the dealer said there was nothing available?
Yeah, so there's one box code we are working on right now,
Okay.
which is a totally different structure on the software side. So we know about it. We're working on it.
Okay.
We'll get it up soon.
Yeah, sorry about that. What should they do? How would they find out?
Yeah, email tuning at. We'll get you on the list so we can notify you as soon as it's ready.
Email is tuning@034motorsport.com. I have the B8 density transmount. Could you guys come out with a billet track transmount similar to the motor mounts? I have them and love them. Why not? Why not? Or why not would this happen? Well, you can't make that mount solid. Because things have to move. They have to have compliance. So there's really no such thing as solid motor mounts unless you made all the mounts solid so that nothing could move. And then you also had let's say a really good roll cage in the car. So the car was just like this inert, non-twistable thing. Then you could solid mount everything. But imagine having a link, a rod with a flexible link at each end. And the rod doesn't break because each end can move. But if you made one end solid and the other end moved, it would just eventually, something has to give. And so either the solid joint would break or the link would break. So if we did that for your transmission mounts, I'm guessing, the factory transmission mounting bracket would break, or the case of the transmission would crack. So I really don't think that with.
Well, I don't know if they're referring to a solid mount, but similar to our motorsport with a bushing. But even so, yeah, to your point, there's very little movement already in the stock. We have a stage 2 insert on the transmission.
We could try to make a more solid one, which would just be like a track density, but I really don't even see why it would be needed. Yeah. I mean, if you run our motor mounts and our insert and our stage 2 mounts, things are going to be locked down.
Yeah.
But I did want to go into a little bit about why.
Yeah, you do not want to.
We definitely don't do solid. I even on really extreme, outrageous race cars, I've still really never seen solid mounting.
Yeah. I mean, until you get to your engine being a structural member of it.
Exactly. Well, then there's no things,
like you said. Yeah.
Then then the engine is part of the frame. Yeah. And in that case, no, there aren't.
And people keep thinking because it says motorsport, our mounts are solid. None of our mounts are solid.
Everything has to have some compliance.
Is it follow up though?
So, is the street density transmission mount for the B9 S4 bad for long-term reliability?
Not at all.
No, not at all. It's not any worse for reliability than the factory mount. It's just a little bit stiffer than the factory one. So things can still move around. So it's like if you have two links and you stiffen up both ends, then the forces are equalized. And so as long as you run, in general, our mounts with the rest of our mounts, you're never going to have a problem. But no, there's no knock to reliability. What you're taking away is some of the NVH, insulation that the factory gives you. That's the trade-off for the compromise. Please update on the climax tune for the B8 S4. What's the status of softening the shifts, and will there be a separate race file that we can flash to choose between?
Yeah, we're discussing doing that. Right now, there will be an update coming out this week. Just kind of, that we've been working on. Some guys, I think all of the feedback we've gotten is that it's resolved their
This has just been a lot of
shift. What do you want to say? Crispness into fourth primarily, and some light load stuff that we tweaked and fixed.
This has just been a lot of, kind of trying to balance people's taste and shifting. And I want to emphasize that none of the changes we're making to Climax have anything to do with safety, have anything to do with reliability.
Right. It's
not like the current that, you know, a lot of people have said that the current file, some of the shifts like from 3 to 4 are harsh. That's just the transmission shifting. I mean, keep in mind, you know, you're a soft, squishy, organic being.
Yeah.
And the transmission is a thing made of metal. It could kill you very easily. You know, so we have to, you know, it's like RoboCop, you know, asking RoboCop to pick up an egg. So, you know, we have to soften, you know, the functionality of the transmission. But
yeah, and we're talking like millisecond changes here. Like,
the transmission doesn't care.
That we're adjusting some blend tables and some of these things that are, you know, we're that, you know, granular in the adjustments that are, you know, you do feel, but yeah, to Joel's point. And yeah, the safety and operability of it is, if anything, more safe for the transmission than a too soft tune or a tune that is not calibrated properly, that you're constantly like, you got this wavering shift where the clutches are constantly trying to play catch up with the engine torque. That in my opinion is a much you know, harder on the components of the transmission.
Yeah, I mean, if RoboCop shakes your hand and he crushes your hand, it doesn't hurt RoboCop. So you know, all that to say, we care about.
Oh yeah, no, we want
what people think.
Yeah, we
and
want
how
your experience.
It feels is very important.
Yeah, that's the whole name of the game.
And so anything that I'm saying is trying to address any of the concerns about, is it hurting my transmission to shift like that? No, not at all. It's hurting you, and you know, transmissions can shift so hard it can hurt your feelings, and so, you know, that's important to us. So we're taking that into account, and we are. I mean, we've spent weeks now, you know, with
that's the thing. It's just getting a number of guys like, you know, back and forth, a couple of different levels of you know, just testing some files in the wild to see where that medium is for the next update we're going to roll out.
So, and we don't want to rush anything out if it's not something that we feel will address, you know, the shifting preferences that people have. We want to avoid doing more and more updates, because I think there's something called like, there should be something called like update burnout, where, you know, people like updates to improve things, but if they get too many updates,
we don't want to just keep iteratively, you know,
they start to think like that's wrong or bad. And in this case, we're spending the time to curate this and make it just perfect. So I know I've been seeing some of the feedback and stuff, and you know, I mean, we're on a number of revisions where we're constantly trying to address, you know, the preferences.
They're very small adjustments we're making right now.
I think it will be the nicest, most smooth shifting file on the market, and also the fastest. So the question then becomes, there's still a lot of people who like the faster, quote unquote, harsher shifts. So if you would like that type of file, please let us know. You know, reach out to us, or put in a vote or whatever.
Yeah, we can spice it up.
So but a lot of people don't like the softer shifts, right? So this is the thing we're trying to make everybody.
Yeah, we've got guys concerned that it's going to soften it up from where they are now, and then we've got guys that say they want it, you know, softer than where it is now. So we're just trying to meet the you know, as many as we can, but we will likely offer multiple levels of this file for that reason.
Yeah. But we are working hard on it. It's not something that we've ignored or forgotten about. So just wanted to make sure everyone knew, like, we're working on it every day, and we should have something soon to offer. A free update soon.
Yep.
Is there an option to buy the billet aluminum spherical dogwheel mount for an RS3 separately? All I see are kits, and I have everything else. I don't need another upper insert. We do offer the upper insert because it's required. It just gets to a point where, for us, like, if one product turns into 5 products, then it's just like the number of products we sell just skyrockets, and every product we sell has an impact. It's work to maintain. It takes up inventory shelf, it takes up inventory value. So
yeah, and you can't just inventory all these products like broken up already and just build them at time of order. That doesn't work. You can't you can't distribute that. It's not a feasible thing.
So for what it's worth, we don't charge anything extra for it. So if you contacted us and someone in customer service sold you just the arm separately, it would be the same price. So I recommend buying it, throwing it on a chain, hanging it around your neck when you go to the club, or you could probably sell it, for 10, 15 bucks on Facebook Marketplace. I'm sure. So, but yeah, and especially when things are, we kind of look at the whole BOM cost and we choose to just price it included. It's not, there's no benefit to trying to buy it separately.
Mm-hmm.
Is it normal for a high pressure fuel pump to be maxing out on stage 2 E85?
I'm not sure. B9. I mean, so fuel pumps you can generally run maxed out. You could say that doesn't mean you're out of fueling. You've still got injection windows. I mean, before going back to our previous analogy, fuel pumps used to just be on. There was no control over them, so they were always maxed out.
Right.
So we can take a look at your specific example and make sure everything's healthy. Oh boy. Some audio feedback here. Make sure your specific setup is healthy, but seeing a fuel pump or something of that nature at 100% is not necessarily an indicator of anything.
Do you have front 2 resonator deletes for B9 S4? It's coming soon, so they're currently in manufacturing right now. I think we'll have them out in the next few months. We're almost through all the questions. Would dog bone inserts NVH increase more than normal because front locking collars and rear frame inserts, subframe inserts are installed? I don't think so. The locking collars don't create any more NVH than the factory. They simply just take up the space in the subframe. The factory subframe bolts are solid to the frame as well, so we don't change or remove any insulation vibration in the front locking collar. So I would say no, definitely no reason for that. I already installed the 034 rear sway bar. Now I want to have an upgraded front one, but I learned you guys don't sell the front one by itself. Any recommendations? Yeah, if this is who I was just talking to. So for the B9 specifically, we offer a rear bar only. And then we offer a full kit with front and rear bar. The rear bars between those two are different. The rear only is smaller than the one that comes in the kit, which is bigger to help offset the roll dynamic of adding a bigger front bar. So if you want to upgrade to the front bar, we would want you to get the bigger rear bar as well. So I recommend buying the full kit, and then you'll get the front bar and the new bigger rear bar as well, and then you'd have some options to play with too. You could try putting the smaller rear bar in, which you would want to do. But yeah, that's the option for the B8s.
They're not the same bar.
No, they're not the same bar. For the B8s, we offered a rear bar only for a long time, like 10 years or something. And then we added a front bar to it. So it's the rear bar or you add the front bar, but the front bar is balanced to the rear bar. For the B9, we made the front bar what it needed to be, and then we balanced the rear bar to the front bar. So they're different. So a little different product strategy on that one. Let me see. When trying to let my B9.5 S5 Sportback with adaptive dampers handle better on corners, would you recommend sway bars over dynamic plus lowering springs or something else? Well, I think if you only did one thing, the sway bars would probably feel more dramatic.
And mid-corner stuff for sure.
Yeah, mid-corner. The springs also help with that, but they look lower, which is what a lot of people are going for. So I would honestly say do both. The springs aren't that expensive. They're like 300 some bucks. And then do it with the rear bars. But the springs and the bars together, a great combination. That's what I'd recommend. And they're all engineered to work together as well. B9.5 SQ5, can you update the files so that there is less throttle lag when in comfort mode?
I'm not sure what they mean by throttle lag. There's
like
different pedal mappings. You've got options in that car anyway. You can just put it in individual mode and set, the engine and transmit dynamic and turn your sound off, so you don't have, maybe you don't want crackles, but you want. So you've got a lot of adjustability in your setup now. And I think a lot of people don't utilize that individual mode enough when they want something, a little more tailored. You actually have the knobs there for that. So hopefully that is what you're looking for. I mean, if the dynamic pedal control feels like what you want, then yeah.
Yeah, we just don't know what throttle lag means. But a lot of times, because we have a more linear throttle mapping, that you may just need to push the pedal down further, and that's just more of like adjusting to needing to use your full throttle pedal range. In sport mode, you get that jump because the throttle mapping is
it's a little steeper at lower pedal inputs,
yeah. Which is the point of sport throttle mapping. It just reacts faster. But like Nate said, if you want the faster one, just do an individual mode.
Yeah, if you like, say you want the faster one, but you want the comfort, you don't want the crackles or something like that. Yeah,
but I mean, I would say from an engineering calibration standpoint, there is no throttle lag in the tune.
No.
It's what it's supposed to be. Yeah. There's no function where we say push the throttle and wait a half a second to do anything. We don't change or slow that down. But you may have to actually use your throttle pedal range, and that's a perception thing.
Yeah, that's like the whole reason the sprint booster and the pedal, interceptors are a thing, is people think that the car is faster, or it's limiting your range of pedal resolution.
The best way to think of it is imagine the knob on your stereo, and if both knobs get you to 90 decibels at 10, but if one knob gets you to 90 when it's at 5, the other knob gets you to 90 when it's at 10. Then it almost seems like the knob with the nonlinear curve is louder, but it's not. It's just you get to the louder faster. But if you just turn the knob faster on the other one, and meanwhile you have a lot more range to choose different volume options in between 1 and 10. So we always want to give the driver more resolution in the throttle pedal. Pushing a throttle pedal down is really easy. It takes very little effort. So why not give you more range so that you have more options to control the power, which is a key part of controlling a car.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty much out of time. One last one. How is the B9 S4 oil catch system coming along? It's coming along. We don't want to rush something to market and not have it be what it needs to be. And so we've had to go back a few times and really address different technical considerations throughout the development process. It's taken longer than we wanted. However, it will be the best possible kit once it's out. So it's something that our hardware engineering team is working on every day. Then you make changes and you have to wait for a sample. We've had to basically make a whole check valve from scratch because there's really nothing on the market that we saw that worked the way we wanted to. So it's going to be great. It's going to take a little longer. All right, I think we're out of time, everybody. So thanks again for joining us. I think we'll see you next week, although it may not be till midweek.
Okay.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.